Claire Crawford from the Ozone.net. Please join her on her podcast as well with Joe Dexter. Oh, hell no. I gave it a little different emphasis this week, Claire. I got out of my broadcaster mode and gave it a little attitude.
A little twist in your neck. I like it.
A little twist in the neck. So, yeah, I saw the same thing that you did and everybody else did against Indiana. I wasn't trashing the Buckeyes defensive backs and corners in particular as much as I saw everybody on social media during the first half in particular, then even after the game. I saw it, not that they couldn't improve and play the ball better, but I saw it as an well-oiled machine on the Indiana side in terms of Lego was just dropping back and he was delivering the ball. And even if the guy was covered, if you noticed, Ohio State secondary wasn't missing tackles. They weren't getting burned. They were right there. The ball was perfectly placed 9 times out of 10, or the receiver was out fighting the DB. That's something that needs to be worked on. The receiver was making a better adjustment to the football and catching it probably, within inches of the defensive back's hands or shoulder pads. It was tight coverage. They were just making exceptional plays. And then the Buckeyes rolled down the safeties in the second half, which made Lego hold it for a second because he had what turned out to be double coverage because Ohio State was so confident that they couldn't run the ball. They took the safeties out of the middle of the field and made them basically double cover on the outside. He holds the football, and then the defensive line's all over him because he's got to hold it a split second to 2 seconds longer. And I would continue that philosophy if I'm Ohio State. Obviously, they don't want to show their hand, and they want to show a little bit more wrinkle than that against Oklahoma. But I wasn't as down on the defensive back play as most people I have seen.
And I completely agree with that as well. I think if I had one phrase to sum up Indiana versus Ohio State last week, it was turn around. How many times did you scream that at your set? And we heard Urban Meyer this past week in his press conference talk about the defensive backs, still a lot of them graded as champions just because we remember the plays where it looked like they got burnt, but there was certainly a great volume of plays that were directed at them. And then once, exactly what you mentioned, once that got shored up, once they got safety help, gave the D-line a little more time, we saw that change a little bit. But it looks like they're going to be getting some coaching up this week about being more aggressive with knocking some of these balls down. And then I think they'll be in a good spot to be able to possibly make a couple more turnovers in that and concern. As far as Baker Mayfield having a little more time, the only other thing that we've got to, as fans, watch out for is their running back kind of likes to leak out there and be like a release if Baker Mayfield does have more time. So our linebackers are going to be needing to be extremely disciplined. And on the other side of that coin, their tight end is a really experienced, big guy, great hands. If he doesn't kind of get jammed up at the line, he's going to be a threat midfield as well.
Yeah, just so they don't bring that darn basic defense out there because it was just awful last year. It just got torn to shreds, didn't it?
Get that basic defense out of here. You know that I deadlifted this morning in my basic defense T-shirt, right? It's officially Oklahoma week.
It's Oklahoma week. You got to go with the basics. Go with the basics, and you'll be all right. You might win by 3 touchdowns or so. Also, I want to remind people that if they like to watch the NFL, which kicks off on Thursday night, watch the NFL, watch defensive backs in the NFL. So these are the best in the business. They're getting paid. They don't turn around most of the time. It's a very difficult thing to do. You watch defensive backs in the NFL, they don't turn around most of the time, except for the better ones.
It's very, very difficult. Full speed to turn your entire body around. But you're right. I mean, Legault was just dropping those in there, had extreme accuracy. And I don't want it to seem like I'm some Ohio State homer making excuses for these defensive backs. But we didn't see a lot of blown coverage, or we didn't see a lot of missed tackles. We didn't see that they really were not covering these guys. It really looked like they were on top of it. It just was a matter of inches at that point.